There we go.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Show of Mauls, Balls and All, the breakdown. We are live on YouTube, Rockdis.ie on Facebook, and of course, Irish Rugby Banter. Tonight, I'm joined by Richard Holland and Matt Boland.
Right,
We'll be
folks.
covering we'll be covering the 4 games of the weekend. Matt, I'll come to you first anyway. Leinster 52, Glasgow 0. Leinster up 33-0 at half time. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I was very surprised because I actually thought Glasgow were going to give us a game, considering they're second in the URC and Leinster are one. It was very disappointing. At that stage in the competition, like a quarter-final game for a semi-final, for it to be that one-sided it's just shit. Leinster played really well, can't take it away from them. They played really, really well. Their game plan was pretty much spot on. Everything they did seemed to just work, they couldn't put a foot wrong, and there was some really good, outstanding players. And I'd say maybe 12 or 13 of them players could have been all nominated for man of the match or player of the match or whatever we want to call it. But, Jordy Barrett had to get it because, he was immense. I called it about 30 minutes into the first half. I said Jordy Barrett's getting man of the match, and he was just everywhere. And what kind of cemented it for me, teams, it's very hard to nil a team in rugby, in professional rugby and in test rugby. It's very hard. And normally when you get nilled, it's generally like a low enough score, maybe 12 or 15-0 or whatever. But 62-0 2 weeks ago and 52-0 then on Friday and 114 points with no return in the Champions Cup is probably never been done before and probably will never be done before. But it was just the hunger of the Leinster defence to not concede anything. And there was a good point. I think it was Tommy O'Brien, the young lad on the wing, and he kicked the ball ahead, and it hit the chest of was it Lowe or Rowe or whatever his name is? I can't think of his first name, but the winger anyway for Glasgow. I think it's Rowe, and he gathered it and ran down the pitch, and then kicked it and chased, and Jordy Barrett chased it down, bed him to it, and didn't just dot it down, fucking faked him, ran around him, kicked it up the park. And that just showed you the determination that Leinster had. And he spoke after the match when he was being interviewed as his man of the match or player of the match or whatever you want to call it. He said, to score 52 was great, but to see the 0, that's even better, And I was even saying, if you go back to the Bath game, which was the last game in the pool stages, Leinster didn't concede a point in the second half of that game as well. So apparently it's 144 points that they've scored and haven't dropped a point on as well. So
in the Champions Cup so far, yeah.
So far, do you know what I mean? So I actually didn't feel sorry for Glasgow this time because I said it in the group, I felt sorry for Quins because they just played bad, and they did towards the end of that game, they just didn't even bother trying anymore. Glasgow didn't stop fighting till the very end, and
which is what you okay want to do as well, yeah.
To do that when you're being nailed, and there was nothing that they could do on the park that actually worked for them, and you could see the frustration in them as well. But you've got to look at their character and credit their character because they didn't stop until the final whistle blew. And for me, that's so admirable, and it's so courageous to do that because it only takes one look up at the scoreboard and go, fuck, it's 47-0. Jesus Christ, I hear go on, I'm not fucking bothered anymore. But they just kept going. And I don't think they just put it out of their mind. They shut it out of their mind, I'd say, at halftime. And, I'd said, well, look, it's fucking 0-0 again. Let's go out and see what we can do in the second half and try and get ourselves back into this game. But you know, Leinster were just ruthless in defence and attack, and you know they will be tested at some point in this competition. Whether it's Northampton in, I think it's May, is it start of May or something?
Something like that, yeah.
The first weekend of May.
So first weekend of May. So what's that, like 3.5 weeks away or something? Maybe 3 weeks away. So look, that'll be a good game as well, but they won't do it again. You know, they won't be nailed again, you know, and I think Northampton are playing really good rugby, and I think they could probably look. I said this about Glasgow as well, so God only fucking knows what might happen, you know, but you'd like to think somebody's gonna fucking score a try or two against them, because
at some stage, that's happening. First of all, even to Gregor as well, anyway, and he said here as well, pretty glad I was out, expected Glasgow to test Leinster, but they didn't.
I think everybody did. I think everybody had Glasgow testing them, you know, but and like I said, they're 1 and 2 in the URC, so you think Glasgow would have done something like.
Yeah, but I suppose Leinster were just kind of out there to prove a point anyway as well.
Who was it actually? Sorry, there was one of the commentators at full time. I think it might have been Carney actually, because he was paired up with Ryan Wilson and John Barkley for Premier Sports, I think, and he had said, like, you know, Glasgow have nothing to be shameful for because they actually played 80 minutes. He said it just looked like Leinster, everything is clicking for Leinster, and everything is just going perfectly for them at the moment, and they're at this purple patch now where they just can't set a foot wrong. And I think he's right. How they can keep that momentum going, I don't know. Hopefully they do. And like this is the last chance. Like, if they want to be considered a really good club rugby team, they need to win this fucking Champions Cup, and they need to take it back, because having the last 3 finals in 3 years and losing 3 finals, you know, it's a massive, and the pressure's on. The pressure is on them to win 100%.
Dave Edmonds in here as well. I thought it was a boring game, but Leinster fans moaned at me saying you would want your team to be dominant. There's a difference between dominating and absolutely annihilating a team. So,
yeah, it's a fair point. Do you know, like, Leinster fans will give out when we lose, or like they were giving out fucking yards when they went down to play the Lions there a few weeks ago and lost with the last penalty of the game, and they were giving out fucking yards. And now, like, they're annihilating teams and they're still giving out, like, you know.
It's literally like that meme, you know, from Gladiator, you're not entertained.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, and you know, we've talked about this so many times. It's the bandwagoners that are on here now, and they think they know it all, and they're just. And I'm not casting them all, like, not all supporters are like this, but there has definitely been lately fans that they're just not happy with whatever, and they're never happy, and they go on to fucking Facebook or social media and abuse fucking shite, and they give out when Ireland don't win, and they give out when their province don't win, but they don't fucking remember what it was like fucking years ago. Do you know, when we get fucking trounced, you know, like, I used to hate watching Leinster play Munster. I used to fucking hate it because you knew you were going to get slaughtered. And like, you know, like, we were whipping boys for fucking years. Do you know what I mean?
I heard, I can't remember, years ago, I remember reading something about that, and they were saying, like, when Munster were selling out Thomond Park, Leinster were playing against against 2 players and a dog, or two lads watching and a dog. That was the way Leinster were back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like, these things always swing in roundabouts, and the Irish team is like that as well, because not so long ago Ireland were losing fucking pretty much 4 games in the Six Nations. Do you know what I mean? And fighting with Italy to not win the wooden spoon, like, do you know what I mean? So look, you know, again, it's all cyclical, you know, and we've got to be, just as fans, we got to be kind of not arrogant. Like, you just need to be humble at all stages, because it only takes like a couple of weeks for something to go really fucking wrong, and then you're shit again. Do you know what I mean? So.
But Joe Lyons in here saying Leinster are playing this year with a fuck you mentality, and it's indicative of how South African teams play. It's foot on the throat and pushing down on that regardless if you've already won the game. Jackson Edinburgh has seriously added nails to and anger to this Leinster team, which is actually a fair point as well.
Yeah,
But you could see it in that game as well, because the game was over and the time was up, but yet they were still playing. They could have easily just kicked it out, but they wanted more. Like,
Richard, that's your thoughts on the Leinster Glasgow game.
Yeah, it just goes to show people were very critical of Leinster at the start of the season, given the amount of points they were conceding. I think the first few games, granted, I think that was down to getting used to a new system, but 114 points to nil. I mean, that's unbelievable. I've never even heard of that. Normally, as Matt says, because it's relatively easy to score in rugby. You have a penalty, drop goal, try, whatever. The chances are you're going to get something. So to hold them out. Now, the game itself, it was a Jordy Barrett show. He is just unbelievable. He's probably the best I've ever seen, and that's saying something. He's just, even when he's under pressure, he doesn't look under pressure. You know, after someone closing him down, the head is up and he's looking and he takes his time and he makes the right decision.
That was just like that kick that went in over his head and he chased it back. Like, he was just calm.
And even this little, he can step you, and you know, with that, and it's amazing to watch, and it's Jesus. But
like, he stepped your man. He stepped your man in the fucking goal area. The goal area, in Leicester's goal area. You know, like, that takes balls.
It also shows the confidence that he has to even think about it.
Listen, as Peter says there, he is different gravy, without a doubt. Like, they, like, I don't know, like, you look at most of the fucking All Blacks, and they were the team that everybody aspired to be like. And I think fair play to all the other nations, they've caught up a lot, especially Ireland, considering like we hadn't beaten the All Blacks in, I'd say, fucking 300 years, whatever amount we were playing them. Do you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm getting at. And then to be even considered a rival of theirs now is a massive honor for us as a nation, considering where we've come from. And I think that's what people forget. But like, they don't, like, they breed rugby players down there. Like, every child that's born is born into a rugby family. They go to rugby schools. That's just the way things are down there. And if you look at Ireland, for instance, rugby is not our first sport, you know.
Or second even at our...
Or second, you know, they are the GAA, Gaelic and hurling, you know. And you're either born with a football in your hand or a slitter in your hand or a fucking hurl in your hand, you know what I mean? And that's the reality of things. So, like, the fact that we've come so far and have actually beaten New Zealand in the last fucking 10 years is an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, but to be fair to Leinster now, and for a player of the caliber of Barrett to want to come here, says a lot about Irish rugby and
absolutely
Leinster in particular.
And I was just about to say, but Bevan just took the words right out of my mouth, because as she says there, I'm hoping it rubs off the Leinster players, as this could be amazing for the national team, as most players are from Leinster, and could help with the international Six Nations in the next World Cup. And she's spot on, because Robbie Henshaw was interviewed after that game, and he was talking about Jordy Barrett and what he's added to the camp. And he said, like, every day there's something different that he's just bringing into the team, and everybody's just going, fucking hell, this is nuts, like, you know.
I'd say, what's the term? Rugby IQ. His rugby IQ must be just, you know, he's up there with Einstein, you know, that kind of way.
And I always say this, like when you meet a really intelligent person and they can pretty much put their hand to anything and make anything and do anything and fix anything, you'd love to just fucking put a USB stick into their fucking brain and just download it all onto the fucking USB stick and then just fucking upload it into your head. Like, that's what you'd love to do with Barrett, like, extract all that fucking rugby knowledge and IQ and just fucking whack it into fucking Gary Ringrose and go, there you are, son.
There's your giggity.
Yeah.
Giggity.
No, that's for Dara, okay? That's for Dara and
Yeah.
Thursday night show. Let's see. Peter here as well. Before we move on, Matt is right. It's all cynical, but the other provinces need to sort out their own issues and not just for themselves. It's for the national squad too. Reggie Cardigan said it, and he was right as well anyway about that.
Yeah, there is a lot of truth to that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the big one for me down below is, and I can't put me down Munster. I can't put me down. But there is flashes of a great team there, but
Yeah.
they just seem to hit the self-destruct button a lot of the times.
And you're so spot on in what you say, because if you look at that performance against La Rochelle and then the performance last weekend, it was like two different squads, you know. And we all had said, look, we hope Munster win it, but we think it all could be the game too far for them, which it ended up being. But what they did in La Rochelle was no short of heroic. And as you said, like, they show glimpses of it, and they need somebody now to be able to harness that week from week to get it out of the players, because it's clearly there, and it's there somewhere, whether it's in the memory banks or whether it's a fire in the belly that only comes out every now and again. And hopefully Clayton is the lad to do it then. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, if you look at Ireland and look at like the four provinces and what we do season after season is nothing short of admirable and incredible for the size of our little fucking country. Do you know what I mean? So, and this is why I get really pissed off when people are all fucking giving out fucking yards about them. It was like, fucking jog on, will you? Look at the bigger picture, like.
Yeah.
Joe Lyons in there saying that selling Mane has had more of an impact and lasting benefit to the squad. Yes, Barrett is class, but the work Rabi is doing with front row lads is valuable, which proves the old point. Forwards win games back to the side by how much, I suppose, as well, anyway.
But that's always been the way, you know, like your forwards are essential part of your game, and likewise to the backs, you know. But the forwards fucking, like, they do all the fucking hard work, right, and grind out so much shit, and half of the time you can't even see the work that's going on and the workload that they're doing, because the ball just gets popped out the back, and then the lads are fucking running left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean?
And again, you mentioned earlier about the Johnny come latelys to rugby. That's the start. Like, they're complaining about James Ryan or Peter O'Mahony, or it's the work that they're doing when the ball is on the ground. That's where the game is won. Exactly,
and that's what they don't understand, because only people that fucking play the game. I mean, I had to fill in one time as a second row because we were short numbers, and they only put me in there because I knew the rules kind of better than anyone else. So I knew what I could and couldn't do, and I had one of the best games of my life, but I just wasn't big enough, and that was the reality of it. Do you know what I mean? But I fucking enjoyed it because I got to see the shit that goes on. Now the first
dark arts, so to speak.
Yeah, so like the first scrum I did, they all knew it was a back, and I got a fucking dig in the nose, a broken nose, and fucking blood everywhere. It was fucking great crack. Do you know what I mean? So, but like, that was like, welcome to the pack, lad. Do you know what I mean? This is what we do.
Was that from your own prop?
No, it was the other lad, the hooker. The hooker from the other team fucking knew it, and he fucking, I swear, I don't know how he got me, to be fair. Fucking. Well, to be honest, it was one of them. I don't know who it was. It could have been one of my own lads as well. I don't even fucking know. So, but you get on with it, you know what I mean? But as you say, Richie, it's the shit that people don't see on the ground that may not be actually going with a ball. It might be just a fucking support or a fucking something at the ruck or a breakdown or something fucking simple. Like you always see somebody fucking grabbing a leg here or grabbing a sock or grabbing a foot, you know, and these are all the things that make a difference, you know. And I know, like, Peter's now fucking slagging me, but like, it was the only reason I was thrown in, because I knew the rules better than anyone else, so they knew I wasn't going to be a penalty fucking liability going in. And that was the only reason.
It's like even the player going in as a pillar, you know, it's knowing where to be and how to do it.
Exactly,
and stuff like that,
and knowing where to stand, that you're going to cause a fucking a nuisance for somebody oncoming to charge down a kick, like, you know.
I was a prop. I was equal opportunity there. I was just in the way the whole time.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not sure which one of you is using the word fucking more. I suppose it's Matt, but Johan there just wants to know what club he did play for.
I played for St. Mary's.
Mario. I had a cousin played for Mary's.
Yeah. So when I was playing, like one of the earlier seasons, Johnny Sexton was still kind of in the AIL fringes, and we all kind of knew, you know, he was going to go fucking pro, because he was just, you could see the difference. Like we were all down in the fucking geriatric league, you know, and fucking out in the cabbage patch, and he was playing on the fucking stadium ground, you know, and we'd finish our game and go up into the fucking bar and go, look, fucking great crack, you know, fucking. But yeah, St. Mary's I played for.
Richard, I'll come to you this time anyway. Bordeaux 47, Munster 29. Bordeaux leading 29-3 at half time.
Just Matt actually, he said it, he was right. He says at half time Munster did reset, that it was a 0-0 game as far as they were concerned.
Yeah.
Now, our set play cost us the game. We had 8 lineouts, 8 of our own lineouts. We either overthrew or didn't find our man. That's unforgivable. That's, if you do that in any game, be it from Munster in a Heineken Cup to your local club doing it, you're not going to win the game. It's as simple as that. For whatever reason, I mean, the jumpers weren't getting up a couple of times. There was overthrows, there was underthrows, they weren't straight. And they changed the hooker more or less at half time, and it didn't really make a difference. So I don't know what went wrong.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Murphy's Law.
Pretty much. Now, there was an off. To be fair, after half time, there was a lot of fight from Leinster or from Munster, and they showed an awful lot. Again, as Matt said, there was flashes of that performance in La Rochelle. Abrahams, I think he's a revelation. I'll be honest with you. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Now, he didn't get a lot of ball. That was a problem. Special shout out to Archer, 300 caps. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
brilliant to see it.
Unbelievable.
But that being said, I think I've seen something flash up there on the chat line there earlier on. Munster need a front row. It's a big issue down there now. Wycherley, he's certainly come on an awful lot in the last 12 months. Whether he's not quite the finished article yet, but he's the makings of a decent one.
Yeah, that was Peter that said that earlier on, is all right.
Yeah. But tight head is a problem for us, and I think it's going to be a problem for some time to come. I think Michael Milne is going to Munster.
Supposed to be joining early,
more or less immediately. Yeah. I think he's heading down to us. But look, hopefully next season, new coach, new mentality, new way of doing things. Things will start to improve. Things have improved, to be fair. You know, 4 years ago we were pulling our hair out as Munster fans, and we've gone on and run a URC since that. So
so you know, going right in it.
Well, actually, I didn't know that. Munster don't have a full-time line-out coach. That's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah,
I didn't realise that in order, to be fair.
Because like the line-out coach is putting double duty with the women's international team and Munster.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As Pete says there, you know, you need full-time coaches. Like you can't
for both teams.
Yeah,
for
both.
For the ladies,
exactly. And it should be two different people, two different fucking positions.
Coaches,
like you can't field the team without players. And if you don't have fucking 15 players, you like 23 players for a match day squad, you can't play. Like, do you know what I mean? So why would they not have a full-time coaching set up there? You know, that's that is
absolutely.
You know.
Matt, I asked you for your thoughts on the Bordeaux Munster game as well. Actually, there's 4 yellow cards and a red card in the second half alone of that game.
Yeah, well, wasn't the red card a second yellow card?
That was second yellow,
yeah. So look, I mean, take away the cards at the moment. You know, let's forget about them. Like, Munster just didn't operate in the first half, and you know, like to go down like fucking 26 points or something and go in at half. Well, what kind of stirred it for me was they scored before halftime, and I said, you know what? I had said watching the game, if they can get a score before halftime, it'll just put the doubt in the Bordeaux players, and if they can come out in the second half and kick on, they might get themselves back into this game and make Bordeaux work for it, which is pretty much what happened, because I don't know, it was Nankerville that scored the try before halftime or something, and Crowley converted it then, and then they came out and, you know, they fought themselves back into the game, and they really did. And there was some quite good individual players there. Smith, I think, he's a fucking great player. Did he score 2 tries?
Yeah. He came out to us from Connacht at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did
I don't
everything.
know. But, you know, like, they just came in. They fought themselves back into the game. And, you know, at one point, they looked like they were going to do the impossible. And
actually, the other chap, O'Donnell, he was playing AIL last
yeah.
week.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a story that kind of got him under the radar. That the fact that he came from an AIL into a Heineken Cup quarter final in the space of 7 days,
which is unbelievable. So, like, I think then they came into the second half and they were kind of putting Bordeaux under pressure, and then didn't, like, your man that got sent off got his first yellow, and then they seemed to come back in. They came back into the game. I think Peno kicked a penalty or something, and it just looked like it was going to turn. But then, I don't know, I think one of the Munster lads got a yellow card and it put them under pressure then.
Yeah, well, Kildellan, I think, came off the bench again and he was dinged almost within 2 minutes. He was off again.
Oh, Jesus.
Good point there, but John, he said Bordeaux were there for the taking if Munster actually cut out the mistakes.
I'd 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
100%. And I would have said the same thing. And the fact that, like, you could see instances of brilliant rugby from them, which if they could have just got their handling right and got the line outs, which is, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, because the Munster line out was always functioning. And even when the Irish line out was going to pot in the Autumn Nations, and then the knock-on effect it had with the Leinster line out, and they were shocking. That's why they were conceding loads of points at the start of the season. Munster's line out was still just fucking working perfectly. So I don't know what's gone wrong there, but clearly we know now, because they've no full-time coach.
Yeah.
I was just looking up the stats there. 63% completion rate on set plays is what Munster had
in that game.
Yeah,
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Obviously that's taking scrums and that into
it. Of course, but that's still diabolical.
That's not form that wins you games.
100%.
That's not stats. But yes, they had the second highest after the La Rochelle game. They had the second highest line-out completion rate in the championship. So,
fuck's sake.
Oh, jeez.
We can point down to a bad day. Yeah.
One extreme to the next.
Yeah.
Which kind of just sums it up, really. Like, you know, like, they, as I think it was Joe Lyons said there a second ago, Bordeaux were there for the taking. They really were, you know.
They were.
Bevan as well is in there. Smith is unknown at the moment, but a lot of speculation he's not going back to Connacht. So
he'd be a great signing. He would be a fantastic signing.
He would, yeah. Absolutely.
You see, Joe Lyons' area is seriously underrated. The standard of likes of Clontarf, Lansdowne, Con have all some serious lads, and Ternier have been amazing. It doesn't get the credit it warrants.
No, you're right on that.
AIL and professional rugby are okay. So AIL is just below professional rugby, and vice versa. Professional rugby is just above AIL, but the fucking skill level is pretty much the same. Because if you look at, I'm going to take a Munster example here. Your man Dan Goggin, he left Munster, went to play in France, was playing for Montauban in France, I think, and now he's back in Ireland, and he's actually playing AIL for St. Mary's.
Yeah, there you go. So
it just goes to show you how good AIL is. But sure, there was times that pro players, if they were off injured years ago, would go in and play AILs to get themselves back up to fit level. And I know fucking Sean O'Brien was playing AIL there for a while after he retired from in international rugby.
I'm nearly sure when James Ryan was coming back from one of the injuries. That was the route he took. That he
Yeah,
lined out for his AIL team.
I think they all do it, but that just goes to show you the standard of AIL rugby in this country, because it's literally, I'd say maybe 10% less than fucking professional levels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mike Sheedy in there, so Munster, they had a bad day in office. Our teams were stronger on the day. We are out of European Champions Cup, did great work last few games. What's another year? Lads URC is next.
It is.
Jesus, lads, it'll be a tough one to get a decent kind of run in the URC, I'd say, with the way we're kind of hit and miss at the moment anyway.
Where are you in the URC at the moment? The standing?
Sixth as far as I know. I'll just have a look here now for you.
Sixth.
Seems about right, I think, because I know we're in the top 8 anyway.
We're fifth.
We're in
Fifth.
Yeah. It's not too bad. Like we can make the quarterfinals, but getting to the final and win the whole thing is a completely different story again. Especially when you're in the bottom side throw.
We have a bit of a fucker of a run in. Like we have the Bulls this Saturday.
Yeah. So
the Bulls are coming to us, but
I mean, we've got Ulster the week after, don't we?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. So we had 2 winter pros coming into the last 7 games, I think it was, which is
yeah,
because I think we've Ulster this weekend.
Yeah, you do. So
and then I don't know who we have after that. To be honest, we're away to Scarlets then the week after that.
Yeah.
Well,
I suppose we'll move on anyway. Up next, Ireland 5, England 49. England leading at halftime, 7 points to 5. Matt, did you see the match or do you see highlights or anything of it?
I watched the game. Yeah. And do you know what? The girls were fucking brilliant in the first half. They really were. And I had said, I never said they were going to win this game, but I said they'd fucking make England earn it. And by Christ did they do that, because they had England under pressure for that fucking first 40 minutes. You know, and to see how far they've come in the last couple of years is nothing short of fucking heroic. Because was it England hockeyed us last year or something?
Yeah.
That was our record loss against England. England last year.
83-0 or something.
88-10.
Oh yeah, so like that's unbelievable. Like even to keep them below 50 was a massive result, and you know they gave them a scare. They gave them a good scare, because I'd say England went in at halftime going, "What the fuck? Like we need to really cop on here and get our shit together." But I think the girls had put so much effort into that first half, and a few injuries didn't help them in the second half. I'd say they were just wrecked, you know, and that'll just show you the professional gap that is there between Ireland and England at the moment, because we all know Ireland are only recently professional, whereas England have been professional for a lot more years. So that's standing to them right now. But I was fucking delighted with their performance. You know, they played 80 minutes, you know, and they never gave up. They did really fucking well, I thought. And they made England work for it, you know, and that's all I wanted. You know, I just didn't want to see them going and getting fucking steamrolled, you know. Now, the scoreline suggests that, but it's only that second half. And again, like I said, they just ran out of steam. They put so much effort into that first half, and we're only down by 2 points at halftime. Like, that's just a fucking incredible achievement.
Yeah, but you see, the thing was, Niamh O'Dowd got a yellow card as well fairly early in the second half.
Yeah.
So you know, when you've got 14 players, you're going to gas yourself a bit more. And considering how dangerous England are, when you give them that one player advantage, they will. It showed, because they just took advantage of every little gap.
Absolutely, and that'll be the like if they didn't get the yellow card, then they might have been 39-5. Do you know what I mean? So
but. I'm not sure if you saw the Kildun try there. Was it 73rd minute or something like that?
It was a brilliant try.
Yeah, because I was at stadium, I was at about the halfway line, and I saw Kildun running at her player, and Joe, you can see the player had her feet, our defender had her feet planted, and I said, Kildun will absolutely just swerve at the last second. She did that, and she was literally through, and I said, nah, she should just run straight at Kildun, try to take her down and close line. You can't give a player like her any bit of space whatsoever because
He's an
she
incredible
went.
try.
Yeah, but see the Costigan try as well, Joe, when O'Brien kicked over. Do you see the way it bounced?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw that from the stand, Joe, the East Terrace. The way it bounced, it just there's one bounce just before it come. I said it's going to bounce perfect down the next row, and you could just see it bounce perfectly because I saw it on the big screen, straight into her hands. All she had to do was go down.
Yeah.
I even an English supporter was next to me, and he said that was the way that ball bounced was absolutely perfect. The way you want this to go when you're
Oh,
going over the
absolutely.
line. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he
But it's so important to time your run though, because like if you don't time your run to that bounce, you're fucked. Like.
Well, you also have to. You're flirting with offside as well. You know,
Yeah.
there's that side of it too. You know.
Yeah, you play the advantages the best you can anyway. Joe Lyons reminded me of Ireland in the early noughties. We were right into the final 20 minutes, and then strength and conditioning just took over. If we can badge the final 20 minutes, we are going to be some team. Yeah, I think that was
Absolutely.
just a huge difference there.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
again, that will come with time because the more time they have of preparing and coaching and all that sort of stuff will all as he said, like the Irish national team were like that for years. We play 60 minutes and then fucking and now we can play 80, 90 minutes, no problem. Do you know what I mean? And it'll come.
Yeah.
It'll
It will come. Yeah. That's a slow thing. That's a couple of years of building.
Oh, that can't be done overnight, you know, and that's a slow burn. That's one of those things that is just a slow burner. It'll come after a few years. That's
you improve in increments.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to respond to Peter there, I pulled the Claire Devney on, didn't say anything about being at the match.
You were seeing that, Danny.
I know.
You were.
Really? Was I seeing it at the match?
Yeah.
Jesus, I never knew that, lads.
Easy to spot a fucking South Africa jersey from a mile away.
It was like, where's Wally?
There he is.
Richard, I'd ask for your thoughts on the Ireland-England game there.
Yeah, it's more or less exactly what Matt said. They gave England a serious game in the first half. I was expecting. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. I was expecting a better performance than last year, and that's what we got. There's definitely something in that Irish team. They have something that's similar to the men's team. It's that thing that you can't quite put your finger on, but you know it's there. There's certain players, and they're just brilliant. They never have a bad game.
It's just waiting for everything to click just right.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. But look, it was a great performance. The scorelines flatters England. I'll be honest with you, it does. The last 20 minutes they kicked on. That's because Ireland ran out of steam. But I was happy with the game. I'll be honest with you. I thought they played quite well.
Sure.
I'd say you'd have a better chance. I'd say Danny has a better chance of wearing an England fucking top than a Leinster top.
It's about 50-50 now at this stage, anyway, to be honest with you. Let's see. Brian Corrin there from our YouTube page anyway says Ryan Braid played AIL in December for game time.
There you go. Another proof. More proof that it's so close. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine lining out if you're the team playing? Could you imagine someone like that lining? Fuck.
You're about to run on the pitch, take your top off, and go, oh fuck, yeah, here, fuck that shit.
Hamstring has gone.
I didn't warm it. It's a bit tight now. I didn't warm it up right.
But no, that's one thing I would say is the men have 5 divisions in the IL, don't they?
Yeah,
5 different divisions. Yeah, so I won the division, the women's AIL. So hopefully they get that kind of sorted somewhere down the line as well, because maybe that's one thing that's having a knock-on effect. For the women's game, maybe they need to expand that a little bit.
Yeah.
You might see things coming more into play. Somewhere along the line for that anyway. But I suppose we'll finish up with the last game of the weekend. Richard, I'll come to you on this one. Racing 43, Connacht 40. Connacht ahead 28-24 at halftime, even though they had the man advantage for the best part of 70 minutes.
Yeah,
So what do you think of that?
Connacht breaking our hearts again. Just
Yeah.
so close. Again, that man advantage. It's like they didn't know what to do with it. You know, it happened a couple of weeks ago as well. Yeah, look, it was an okay game. It was an okay game. It was exciting, definitely. It was probably the game of the weekend, as we say. But on all the stats and everything, if you look at, Connacht should have won that game and didn't. I didn't see all of the game. I heard something about Owen Farrell and an no-arm tackle again. Did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he went
there you
flying
go.
in at a ruck. He went flying in at a ruck, and his arm was tucked, so he went in with his shoulder.
Well, yeah. Well, how was that? Just a yellow, you know, that kind of way.
I to be honest, when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a red.
Yeah. Well, there we go. The professor tackle school.
Swear to God.
Yeah. No, look, I was gutted. I was hoping Connacht to be able to do it. I heard Bundy had a brilliant game as well. Like I said, I didn't see all the game, but Bundy was a live wire for a good deal of the game. No, look, it's unfortunate, but it seems to be Connacht's thing, throwing or losing a game by the bare minimum.
Yeah, because Bevan has a comment up here. Connacht took the foot off the gas in the second half. They used all their backs before 15 minutes. They made some stupid mistakes like divine kicking from behind the try line and straight into the hands of a harassing player. Literally, he should have just tapped it down and then go for the goal line kick instead.
Well, that's going to give you, if you do that, it gives you time to set your line, your defence. So there is a lot,
So maybe
a rush of blood or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, very small bits and pieces like that. Anyway, John Healy in here as well. Connacht's defence equals woeful, not for the first time this season.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's we I think we said that after the Munster game that the Connacht defence there's issues there.
Yeah, so I mean, is it Scott Farley that's in charge of the defence, so isn't it, for Connacht, isn't it?
Yeah, he's moving on though, isn't he? Is he moving on next year? Did I see something
probably
about
could
that?
be alright, I'd say.
Yeah,
But like Connacht have been a great attacking team. It's just their defence sometimes.
The defence lets them down. Yeah.
And maybe what Bevan said there as well. They take their foot off the gas and kind of leave it lapse rather than kind of pushing on and on and on. So
yeah, well, that's down to concentration levels, really. Then you could argue as well. You know, it's just keeping switched on for 80 minutes.
Yeah, which you see the best of the teams do anyway. Joe Lyons here as well. Interesting to see Hansen getting dropped back to 15. Was that down because of injury, or is it something Ireland are looking at going forward?
He can play 15. I know that. He's quite versatile that way. I still think he's more of a winger, but it's certainly something, because if Hugo Keenan picks up an injury from an Irish perspective, Ireland could be in a little bit of trouble at fullback.
Yeah.
You've got good cover for Keenan at the moment. You've got Osborne who can play fullback really well, and you've also got Frawley who can do it as well. But you know, it's good to know that you have an extra alternative in Hansen, because I think he can play 15 quite well, or fullback quite well. So another option, like, you know.
Yeah.
You need options.
I see. When he was in Australia, he played 10 as well.
He did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 10 as well. Yeah, he can cover. There's more than one position.
No wonder he came to Ireland.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, he's probably part of the reason why he's such a good boot in him as well, maybe.
But don't get another He's going to be getting another tattoo now after playing fullback.
That's it.
Probably, yeah. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Connacht Racing game?
Oh, do you know, I actually had Racing winning this game. I hated going. I don't know. I just had a feeling that Racing were going to turn up for this game, and I always when I say a team is going to beat an Irish province, I really hope I'm wrong, and this time I wasn't wrong. And I was devastated, because to see Connacht go up so early in that game, it was 21-5, and they had a red card at fucking 12 minutes, and I was like, oh, they have this game won. Fair fucking play to them. I'm delighted to be wrong. But then just just fucking Racing just didn't go away, did they? They just fucking kept going, and we've seen before sometimes that when a player or a team does go down to a red card, they just grind out a fucking win, and that's exactly what they did, and
I galvanize the team some bit.
Sometimes it does. Now, look, sometimes it doesn't either. But
yeah,
especially with a French team, with the quality that they had on that team, and even when Owen Farrell came on in the second half and kicked that drop goal, that was basically the winning of the game, even though it was like at 70 minutes or whatever. But that was the difference between the two teams at the end, was that drop goal, and. Yeah, look, Connacht could have won it again at the end. They really could have, and I was raging that they didn't. To be honest, I was raging because I hate being right when I go against an Irish province. I really do, but I just had a feeling. And then when they named the team, I was like, "Oh fucking hell, I could be right." Do Jesus, some big players in that fucking that team, But it was a shame. There was some standout. There were blue flashing now. There was some big names.
James Brennan was supposed to be on the show tonight, and that's why he can't actually be here. He's
still recovering.
Yeah, that explains that.
Sorry, that drop goal was in the 53rd minute.
Yeah.
So there you go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now,
moments.
The scrum half for Racing was brilliant. Nolan, the Garrick, he was absolutely immense, and there was a good few players that were standout in that game. But again, it was annoying for Connacht because they could have and probably should have won that game. Especially I know Owen Farrell was sent off to the sin bin late in the 70s.
Connacht scored after that as well.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just too little, too late at that point,
But Bev has a comment in there. I still don't agree with Champions Cup teams being dropped to the Challenge Cup. It seems like an unfair advantage.
There is certain merit to that.
There is, mate. All right,
if you don't perform in the pool stages and you finish third and you drop down to the Challenge League, you're going away to, in a lot of cases, a lower place in, say, the French Pro 14. A team that's not doing that great.
Yeah, but look, that's Racing 92. They're not doing that. They're not doing that great in the Pro fucking 14, and then also, hang on a second, they just fucking come back with
it comes down to that as well. It's the
always
that the lads have to be able to build a team.
It's always money, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah, look, Peter, devastated for Connacht, to be honest.
Peter says he doesn't agree with Bev. Where's the unfair advantage? If you don't perform, so be it. But I suppose
he's on the dynamite then.
He is, but at the same time, I suppose I can see Bev Ann's point that if you don't make the last 16 of a competition, you should be stitch your own European competition. But you see, the problem I think with the Challenge Cup is you've only got 18 teams in the competition, and if they still want to run the round of 16, you still have to you have to take a certain amount of teams down to get that round of 16 complete.
Yeah, well, if you do that, you're going to have teams getting buys in the last 16.
Yeah, if you're to do it that way, or you have to go straight into the quarterfinal, one of the two.
Yeah,
there's a lot of factors that need to be considered for both of them. Do you know what I mean?
But Bevan saying there, it should be just Challenge Cup teams and go straight into quarterfinals. So I suppose it's either teams drop down, expand the competition, or straight to quarterfinals.
Actually, did I read somewhere that the English Premiership automatically gets 8 Champions Cup qualifying spots?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
fucking hell.
Again, it's
No, the way it works out is every league gets 8 positions in the Champions Cup. That's England, France, and the URC.
URC, yeah.
URC,
so the Challenge Cup winners automatically go into the Champions Cup. It happened last year as well, I think, where we only got the top 7 plus, I think, was it one of the Welsh clubs that won it, or was it season 4, something like that. And they finished outside the top 8. So they got in there. So, they got the other spot as well. So they would Is it?
If they're not
Is it?
insolvent. True
If
that.
they're not insolvent, yeah.
Very true.
True that.
True that.
Yeah. GS says we've got 10 minutes left anyway. Do you know what? I'll ask for your predictions on the upcoming games the weekend. We've got 5 games this weekend. Is it? I don't know. Where am I going?
Yeah.
Oh, 4 games.
You-
We've got 4 games this weekend anyway.
I
More
think the
games,
ladies have the week off.
No, they're playing.
Yeah, every team.
They're playing.
no, Ireland are
they're
playing this
Sunday.
week.
It's
Yeah.
because Leinster are playing Ulster. That
Oh,
takes one match out.
Yeah, there's an Inter-Pro,
there's
yeah.
an Inter-Pro, yeah.
Connacht start their South African tour against the Stormers. Matt, how do you see that one going?
Yeah,
Thoughts and prayers?
that's going to be a very tough game for Connacht, I'd say, especially in South Africa against Stormers. So I'd imagine the Stormers are going to win that.
Yeah, with Sikois and James Brennan down anyway, and you see how the Stormers managed his dad jokes and stuff like that. It might give Connacht some bit of an edge.
We'll pay for a first class ticket down for him.
We fucking will not. You go fucking coach.
He'll be fucking grand out, and he get to do a grand tour of the area.
We'll stick him in a fucking suitcase and he can go into the belly of the plane.
Yeah, away you go, son. There's a bottle of water for you.
Yeah, stick
We'll stick a few holes in the suitcase.
Oh, James, if you're watching this later on, it's worth stacking. Richard, Collins versus Stormers. How do you see that going?
I expect a very bad day at the office for Connacht. To be honest with you, I think the Stormers are going to hammer him. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not going to exactly disagree with you on that one. Oh, Richard, since I have you there, Munster versus Waterford Bulls.
I think Munster will. I'm going to say Munster are going to win that one because we've said it a lot. The South African teams don't travel well, so I'm expecting Munster to. Might be a close enough game, but I'm expecting Munster to shade it.
Matt, how do you see that one going?
Yeah, look, I as Richie has said, like it'll all depend on what team the Bulls fucking send, but I would imagine that they're not going to send the whole squad and leave a few big players out. So I think Munster win
that. Since I have you there, Matt, Leinster versus Ulster on Saturday. Leinster at home.
Yeah,
how do you see that one going?
I'm going to go Leinster. Yeah. Funnily enough.
Really? Really? And you like yourself?
You're after surprising us there.
I didn't expect that one. Oh, no, that. Never thought you said Leinster.
Well, look, I mean, I think they're doing all right, here and there, a couple of wins under their belt. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. What I'd like to happen is I'd like Ulster to fucking turn up and give us a fucking game, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, they'll probably pick a fucking. They won't be a full. Although it could be, you never know. Jesus, it could be.
I don't think it will be. I
don't think it will be, but you never know.
You can go 3 deep at Leinster with every position. So
yeah, 100%. I guarantee you'll definitely have like Doris, Sheehan, Snyman, and probably Barrett on the bench, maybe, or maybe one of them 4 playing and the other 3 on the bench, and when you see them on the bench and they come on, they just fucking change a game. So look, it's hard to see past Leinster in the URC in any game, really. Do you know what I mean? And that's not me just being fucking a Leinster fan. I think most people would say that, whether they're Leinster fans or not. But I'm gonna go with Leinster anyway.
Richard, how do you see that one going? Leinster.
I just hope Connacht score. Just because how long can you keep going on without conceding a point?
Points, yeah.
Yeah.
But like
Ulster will definitely score. I don't think. I don't think Leinster really nail teams in the fucking URC, but
plus it's an Inter-Pro. Plus it's an Inter-Pro, and they can throw up weird results.
Well, that's it. But on the night, typical Ulster, they can go out and beat anyone, and they're abject in the following game. So look, I'm going to go tentatively with a 10-point Leinster win.
Ooh. Right, we got that one. Last game of the weekend, lads. We have Wales hosting Ireland on Sunday. Richard, how do you see that one going?
I'm going to say Ireland are going to win that one. I don't think Wales are quite at the races yet either. They're a little bit like Ireland were 3 years ago. They are coming along, but
Yeah.
I can't see Ireland losing that one. Actually, it
Matt?
might be a good bet to put if away for the score and Ireland to win. That might be a nice little double.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Wafer does have kind of know where the try line is anyway. She seems to be magnetized to it.
She'd take about
see,
3 or 4 fucking Wales players with her too.
That's the thing about her,
yeah. Matt, how do you see the Ireland Wales game going?
I think they'll get a win. I think they'll get a win over Wales.
Yeah.
They definitely have the form. If you look at the France and the England game, I'd say at the start of the competition, their targets were to beat Italy, beat Wales, and beat Scotland.
Yeah.
And put it up to fucking France and England. Do you know what I mean? Because
they certainly have done.
And that's exactly what they've done. And if that was their goal for that championship, then they've fucking done really, really well. But I can see. Look, Wales, as Richie said, they're a bit like us maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and are up and coming as well. But I think they're not quite there just yet, and I think the girls will get a win away.
Yeah, but I'd say it has been an important one because it's a World Cup year as well for the women's teams, which is being held over in England. So, I suppose getting a couple of decent performances in the confidence up as well for any team is going to be huge for them as well. Anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah. A comment here from Joe Lyons. Development of the game in Ireland, especially in the likes of Connacht and Munster, will always be playing second fiddle to the GAA. If Connacht and Munster are serious, they need to get the kids playing GAA over into rugby and match Leinster. Even as a percentage, both are lagging behind Leinster when it comes to schools playing rugby and the numbers coming through. I could only imagine how good Munster would be if they got them Kerry lads playing in red over the green and gold.
Jesus, don't be poking Brosnan in there now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in that statement.
There is.
There's a lot of truth in that.
There is, all right, but
the thing about in particular football, there are skills that are transferable to rugby, in particular fielding the ball.
Oh, without a doubt.
The kicking, especially the kicking aspect of the game, anyway.
It's kicking and fielding.
Yeah, it's also catching the ball above your head. That's bred into you playing GA, and it's
how many Ireland players do that? You see it all the time.
An awful lot of them do it, yeah. Rob Carney was the best I've ever seen at it, actually, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, because like a lot of lads, they took the skills from that game and they transferred it. Everything can be transferred some way or another.
Yeah.
I suppose. Let's see, Gregor Gall was in there. Leinster win. Mike Sheedy, Munster will win as well. Bev and Marie, as an Ulster fan, it's scary feeling after seeing their performance over the last 2 weeks. So what's it now? Gregor said here, Wales had a 13-hour travel to France.
Must have been bus and ferry then, was it?
Must have been, for the Wales team. Flight.
That's an hour's flight. You think they would have arranged something, but Wales rugby is broke, so.
Yeah, but sure. Our Ireland women's team had the same situation. Was it 2012 or something like that?
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing it in the program. Yeah, and it was absolutely crazy altogether. Anyway, let's see. Joe Lyons in here as well. Kerry on the decline. Dubs to go 10 on the trot. So lads should be looking to rugby. Just saying.
That's fighting talk.
That's fucking fighting talk there.
I know what Joe means there. He means it's 10 times on the trot as runners up, not as actual winners. So, us lads being kind and Kerry, we lead a couple of our teams as well.
Fair play to you.
We lead a few of our teams.
There's the inbuilt fucking tourism trap there from Danny Binall. And a little dig then at the end.
Yeah, that's it.
See, Jonathan Tobin did Wales walk. Jeez.
Fucking hell.
It might have felt like that, all right, but jeez, I said there is some problems with the Welsh Rugby Union and their finances at the moment. Anyway, in all seriousness, so it's.
Well, we know where all their money went.
Yeah, into the pockets of the. Yeah.
I did see something
into your own
about
pockets.
one of the Welsh regions. They're looking for £730,000 just to stay afloat.
Something like that, yeah. Cardiff Blues or something, is it?
Yeah, it's one of them. I can't remember who.
I think it was Cardiff, wasn't it?
Yeah. They're in the so obviously there is a lot of issues in there anyway. Joe Lyons again as well. The wife is out, then he has to pay. Has my attention.
Oh, careful, Danny.
Lads,
Oh, giggity.
yeah, lads, we're at the hour mark. We've everything covered that we can cover. So Matt, Richard, Joe Lyons, I say good night to you. Until next
Good night,
time.
gents.
Good night,
Take care,
lads.
lads. Bye bye.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye bye.